Life is hard. And I made a comment recently to someone that it felt like I was playing life in God mode. It just seemed like everything was harder. And I think we can all agree that everything's more expensive, without question. But it just feels like things are a lot harder for trans people right now. And it's like there's this constant hum of transphobia in our lives that, it just wears you down to the point where, yeah, it was easier when I didn't have to deal with other people's baloney. If you've ever wondered what it's like for a trans person to have second doubts, start second guessing themselves, or just be struggling, or if you're another trans person going through this yourself, stick around and let's get at it. Hi, my name is Kate Madden, and I live on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people that we call Vancouver, British Columbia. I have a lot on my mind because I don't know that I've ever been as stressed as I am right now. And I just want to get it out. I just want to share. And so I'm doing this video completely unscripted. And if this is your first time watching a video of mine, thank you for joining. Stick around. I hope you gain value in what I share. Maybe check out some of the other videos and leave a comment. So the video is unscripted, but I will edit because I'm going to say a lot. I don't really. What I do say is so. And if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, remove so from your vocabulary. Just get rid of it. I didn't want to be trans. At the end of the day, I did everything I could to run away from it. I tried my hardest. I really tried my hardest. I put myself back in the closet, repressed myself over and over and over. And, I was never not trans. It was always a struggle fitting in. And, I script my videos, but I also learned scripts to get along in the locker room. For example, in high school, I learned scripts to succeed in business. I learned scripts to shoot the shit in the coffee room. And sometimes those scripts were really bad. They were homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic. And, I tried to live that comp het lifestyle. As life went on, it got harder, and it got harder and harder to maintain that facade. And, so I ripped it off. It's just gone. And it's really hard to describe that euphoria that exists when you first take those steps, those first initial steps, when you say, yes, I am trans. Yes, I am going to start HRT. Yes, I am going to begin this journey. And you acknowledge it to yourself first, and then you start acknowledging it to others, and then you start dealing with other people's bullshit. You might hear some noises. My son is making dinner, and making all the noises a teenage person makes. Not the first time his background noise has been in a YouTube video of mine, actually. I think early on it was in a couple. So this euphoria takes over. And you just start doing the things you got to do. You find the doctor, and that's a challenge. Trying to find a doctor who is competent, who understands things. Finding a doctor who isn't going to gatekeep. And you do all these things. I went to the other side of the country for healthcare. I left Vancouver to go to Montreal for surgery because it's, social transition, medical transition, hormonal, like it's everything. And it's all a challenge. You got to submit your paperwork. You got to get it signed. You got to get the passport photo redone. You got to get the guarantor or whatever. Pronouns. I'm beginning to just loathe pronouns. I'm grateful to all those who, normalize it as best they can. Emails, introducing themselves, name tags at events. But, yeah, when it's not firing, or when you put a lot of effort into something and you get misgendered, it's a horrible feeling. Even I was at this work event, and the executives are up on stage, they're talking, room full of a few hundred people, and something about trans people and gender affirmation for trans people in the workplace, benefits, and so on. And if you don't know, I work in benefits. There was applause, which, great, that's awesome. There was applause. It was nice to hear. And then we do a team building event a couple hours later, and I get misgendered by somebody somewhere else in the company. Corrected themselves very quickly when I corrected them, but it sucked. It was in front of a bunch of people, and it just took the wind out of my sails. So that's a long-winded way to say euphoria. Euphoria hits, and it's wonderful. It's better than dysphoria. And I've always described dysphoria as like this car crash in the back of my head. And transition's the cure for that. Silence is it, and it's wonderful. But by silence it, I mean it doesn't make it go away. And sometimes it still comes up. It's exciting to be your authentic self. It's exciting to live your life as yourself, to love, to be loved, to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy as yourself. It feels absolutely wonderful to just be able to not have that constant buzz of dysphoria distracting you, and to be able to invest all of your energy, emotional, psychological, intellectual energy, physical energy, into somebody else, into your life, into the way you live. And you quickly realize that not everyone is supportive. It's really great as well. You realize a lot of people just don't give a shit. Like, you can walk down the street and chances are, at least where I live, you're going to be okay. But that's not to say that you won't be made fun of. It's not to say that you won't be misgendered behind your back, or people will dead name you when you're not around. Yeah, I knew Kate before she was Kate, or, you know, I've had that happen. I've had people come to me and tell me, you you may even be threatened with violence. I've been threatened with violence. I've been assaulted multiple times now. Like, I have been assaulted. Is it because I'm trans? Is it because I'm a woman? It's happened more than a couple times. And no matter how hard you try, you're always going to be held back because you're trans. And there's no way around it. We live in this world. We live in this heterosexual, cisgender world. And we can live life by those rules. And maybe it would be easier to just go stealth. Stop what you're doing. Life got harder after transition, unquestionably. And, you know, I think if you get to a point where it's life or death, then you got to transition. Like, as hard as it is, it's been worth it. But it's not easy anymore. You know, it's not easy to get the medication you need. It's not easy to get the therapy you need. It's not easy to find a job. You know, like, you can look at the surveys that Pulse Canada put out a couple of years ago regarding underemployment and unemployment in the trans and non-binary community in Canada. StatsCan released some numbers there in October of 2022. Just about 100,000 Canadians who are identified as trans and non-binary. And the most gender diverse communities are Victoria, Fredericton, and I think Halifax. There's 3 of them, but kind of those smaller communities. And even though most of us would live in Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, per capita, I think that's really what it comes down to, is smaller communities. And also universities, now that I think about it. UVic, St. Mary's, Dal, Santa Fax. University of New Brunswick, is that in Fredericton? Somebody can fact check me on that. Don't do this unless you really need to do it. But here's a couple of really great things I've learned. If you reach out, others will help. Others will help. Other people who have been in that spot, or the people who know how you feel. And they walk with you in a way that's non-judgmental. They don't try to solution. You're seen, finally. And like, yeah, you will still get people who try to solve it for you. And maybe you need that. I don't. Maybe you do, but I don't. I do find trans women who are still in the closet or recently transitioned still have some bad habits when it comes to explaining stuff. But the world quickly erodes that. That's what I think. The world quickly erodes that. Other people will help. You're going to find allies. You're going to find friends. There's communities of support, and that's great. That's wonderful. I am really grateful for that. When I look back over the last 5 years, and maybe between all of us, we can work to make a better world. Can we? I don't know that there's any other choice, but it's hard. It's hard. Everything's just. It's not just, being trans. I mean, or maybe it is. I've had, I've had a lot. I've been stressed lately, and I've had a lot on my mind, and I had a good cry there just after Christmas, trying to figure stuff out. I was struggling to figure it out. And I find myself not necessarily thinking about detransition, but just trying to put myself back in those shoes, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And it seems so foreign now to think about that. Like a dream, and not a good one, really. Like it's just, it's so uncomfortable to remember that. Like, not the memories, the happy memories with, my kids or friends or family, but or even in my marriage. But just the discomfort, and it comes from the knowledge of how I live my life now, and recognizing that at the time I was on this ever shrinking ice floe. And that's it, really. It's just hard, and I'm struggling right now, but I've got the best people around me, and I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back, because as hard as it is, it's better. It is better. There's a sense of peace. There's a sense of excitement. And even in the struggle, I'm glad I did it. That I took the steps to be myself and to live my life truthfully. If you made it this far, thanks for letting me get that off my chest. It's January 2023. Coming up on 5 years of HRT, 1 year of post-op bottom surgery, 5 years since I came out, 4 years since I started the YouTube channel. I don't know how much more value this YouTube channel has, what stories I have to tell. So I don't know how many more I'll be doing. Got a few more, but yeah, it's. I think it's nearing the end. Or maybe not. I do have a lot of fun doing it. And it's been great, the connections that I've made, people reaching out, friendships, messages, and it's nice to hear I've helped. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, share, watch the other videos, leave a comment. What's your favorite part about transition? What's the hardest part? What's the easiest part? And we'll get through it, because here's to life.